because this is the screen. Hello, hi, my name is Jason. Yes, I hope everybody can hear me. Let me double check on my phone, okay? Just to make sure that everybody is in. Currently, right now, let me see how many do we have. Okay, we have more than 15 people. Now, if possible, if you do hear me, please type a chat and say hi to me on the chat box by the side you will see on your YouTube, and then I'll know. If you can't hear me, let me know, okay? Here you can see my screen, which is basically what I'm seeing, okay? So just to let you see how I normally do my presentation, okay? So this is how it's being done, all right? So let me see if I can see myself on the YouTube channel, okay? Right, everybody can hear me? Oh yes, hi Joseph, thank you very much. Yes, okay, all right, that's good. Now let's see what we can do. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my presentation, and very quickly we will go through the agenda, what's happening for today's topic, okay? And also to let you know what's happening, okay? So now, very quickly, let me also have another screen. I have a couple of screens while I'm doing this simultaneously, okay? Hang on. Okay. Okay, I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long. Okay, let more people come in first. Okay, and we will be in business very shortly. Okay. If you can hear me, please do say hi. Okay, if you can't hear me, do let me know. Okay, we will try and rectify and fix it as soon as possible. Okay. Right. Okay. I can see everything. Okay. Hi, Gabriel. All right. So basically, this session is mainly for resellers, installers, and dealers. All right. There are no end users in this particular meeting. So if you in this particular webinar that we are having, if you have any questions with regards to Synology, with regards to anything Synology, just feel free to chat it out. Okay. We do have participants from Synology. Okay, and we also have participants from distributors. All right, so we have staff members from Eternal Asia, from Ingram. They have also joined us. All right, and also we have at least 2 other Synology staff with us today. Okay, and basically as per my slide have shown here, all right, so we are talking about the active backup for SaaS. Okay, so it's basically storage as a service. Okay, so we as resellers or installers, as dealers, okay, we want to be able to help customers with regards to their Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. All right, we know that most of us as resellers, we know that we are a predominantly Microsoft 365 country. Okay, very rarely do I meet anybody using Google Workspace. All right, it's not that it's not happening, but it is. But very rarely do I being asked about how do you do backup for Google Workspace. Okay, now I have done quite a number of Microsoft 365 sizing. I've also helped a lot of resellers, installers, in terms of navigating the whole entire infrastructure and also navigating how to do the sizing. Right, so I do get a lot of questions by resellers and installers that how do you size up, let's say, a customer who has 200 accounts, 800 accounts, and things like that. Okay, so these are very crucial questions and also answers that we need to answer. Okay, so be it even for 5-person, 10-person, what kind of size of a NAS should we need, and how much space do we try and estimate. Okay, so today's slide I will show you. Okay, I will show you slide by slide how it's being done in terms of the sizing. I also show you in terms of comparison with other brands. Okay, but of course I will be using international numbers, which is all in US dollars, not in Sing dollars. Okay, and then of course also in list price. Okay, because we can't take different resellers at different tier for pricing, like silver partner, gold partner, and stuff like that. Okay, now if you have any questions at any time, feel free to write in the chat, okay? But if you how do I say, if you need to be contacted, all right, just hook up with your distributors. They will know how to help you as much as they can. Or if you need Synology to contact you, you can also write in the chat, all right, and they will also reply to you, okay? But do note the chat is public, okay? If you need anybody to contact you, just feel free to, if you don't mind dropping your email on the chat, just by all means, or if I do know you, or if you personally do know me, all right, you can also feel free to contact me. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is a service on behalf of Synology to communicate with Singapore users and Singapore's installers and stuff like that. Now, don't forget to also, if you can, join our Synology Facebook page. Okay, we have a very active community. Right now, we have more than 1,900 users on almost a weekly and daily interaction. Okay, so we will have all of that. Okay, so now let's look at the timing and let's move into the next phase of the presentation. Now, let's take a look at the agenda for today. Okay, very quickly, okay, we will give a very quick and brief update about Synology. We will talk about things, okay, and we see how it progresses. Okay, if you have any unhappiness or anything, just feel free to chat it out. Okay, I think this is a good place and channel. The channel is definitely very private for us. Okay, it's not shared publicly. Only people who have the URL will be able to access and see this YouTube. Okay, now so far the latest two models of desktop NAS that came out thus far for the last I would say 6 to 9 months has been the DS2422 Plus and the DS3622. Okay, have there been any of the sales? Yes, there has been sales happening for these two new models, the two new updates for 2422 and 3622DS. Okay, so similarly, today's topic will be covered as per Synology request to talk about storage as a service. Okay, we know that for the past 2 years, especially with the recent release of Mask Off yesterday, we will be gradually moving to more people going back to office. All right, but that doesn't mean that we will have to move away from what has happened before. Okay, now the next one will be talking about the business continuity for Synology, because Synology stressed that there has been a lot of requests for services to provide better services. Okay, so I'll be talking about it also. There will be a service provider for it. And last but not least, we will have a Q&A time. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Okay, so that's where we will be able to do some answering of questions, and then we will conclude our presentation for today. Okay, so meanwhile, let's go through some very quick brief updates. Okay, let me see how many do we have right now. Okay, so all right, so we have a very decent size of over 20 people right now. Okay, very quickly, update on Synology is things that I can say will be that stocks as usual due to worldwide component shortage. Okay, so do remember to advise your clients as much as the distributors would like. Okay, they'll try to get the allocation, the global allocation. Okay, because Synology don't just supply to Singapore; it's the whole entire world. All right, so there's only so many X number of chips and so many X number of raw materials to manufacture the NAS. Okay, so they will try as much as possible to allocate. All right, so if you have any projects, please do remember to update your suppliers, okay, your distributors, in terms of project and what are the things that you need. Okay, don't talk about the daily run rate. Yeah, just let it be. Okay, if you know that you are in need of a certain size of NAS within the next 6 months to 9 months, all right, please do update your suppliers. They will try their best to allocate and plan it out with Synology with you. Okay, this is very important. All right, so very critical also. Now, the shortage is not only just on NAS. Okay, also double check on any of the NIC cards that you may need. Okay. From what I know, there are some shortages for the T-based 10G NIC cards. Okay, if you need it, double check again first. All right, the single ports are fine. The double ports are currently out of stock. Okay, the SFP Plus models for the NIC cards are fine. Stock status wise is okay. 25G is also fine. Okay, SSDs healthy. Hard disks are currently very, very stable. Okay, so now in terms of the supplies for the NAS, as usual, okay, the main constraint will be on the higher end models. Okay, other than that, the usual ones will be the J models having some slight supply chain constraint. Okay, I'll use the word constraint. Okay, I'm just being very courteous. All right, so do take note of that. Okay, hi, good morning. Okay, now let's move on to today's main topic. All right, so with the recent global pandemic, basically it has forced quite a number of organizations to move and implement work from home. Right, we have seen that in the past 24 months, and it has actually promoted the implementation of digital transformation, which we have seen our Singapore government doing that. Okay, now in order to expedite the digital transformation and ensure that the productivity of organization, works properly with the shortest possible time, okay, many organizations have actually adopted storage as a service. Okay, and the fact that according to the latest Gartner survey, okay, the number of deployment has actually tremendously increased significantly. Okay, so now the whole global market size right now is estimated at $354 billion. Okay, and the subscription, I'll show you the numbers for Microsoft 365 later in another slide. Okay, and all these numbers are public numbers. You can Google it and you can obtain it by yourself. It's just that I just wrap it up into one bundle and one package to explain and update you guys, and so that you can have a better updates. All right, so it is also forecasted that even at this year 2022, okay, the overall market will still continue to grow for SaaS, okay, for the software storage as a service. Okay, storage as a service, we're talking about storage as a service. Okay, now in terms of collaboration tool, the most common in Singapore, all right, that we use is Microsoft. And you can see from Microsoft reports, okay, on their earnings, basically the growth, or the annual average growth right now is hovering at more than, I would say, slightly above 30%. Okay, year on year, you can see that they are growing 35, 33, 43. Okay, and they have more than 258 million active users. All right, so this is a very, very huge chunk of numbers for you to be able to go after. All right, so Singapore itself, there's quite a very, very big substantial market. All right, if you're going after this. Now, beyond that, the next question that's being asked by a lot of end users, okay, be it big or small, it can be as small as a 5% company or 10% company, to a church organization or insurance company or even a finance company. All right, they will ask you, what's the data security like on SaaS? Okay, so as per all solutions, there are always advantages and disadvantages. So similarly, if you are going to be renting space from any of the public clouds, they will also similarly have their conditions in their T&C, terms and conditions. Okay, it's a matter of how, if the end user can accept it. Yes, no doubt they may have signed up for AWS, Google, or Microsoft, okay, or even any other suppliers. Right, it doesn't matter. Okay, so very quickly, we just look at the fine prints. All right, under the fine prints on the terms of services, even for a very general one, they will tell you that you have to regularly back up your content and data that you store on their services, or to store using a third-party app and services. All right, it's as simple as that. Okay, they'll strive to keep the services up and running. Okay, we have seen even last year that AWS was down for, I think if I'm not wrong, about 5 to 7 days. All right, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, so similarly for this T&C from Microsoft is not liable for any disruption or loss you may suffer as a result in the event of an outage. Okay, you may not be able to retrieve your content or data that you store. All right, and this is very, very real. Okay, do not miss out on this paragraph. Okay, so be very, very careful about this. All right, as I strongly believe quite a number of users of Microsoft is aware of this, and of course, if you have to pay more money, then you can do more archival and stuff like that. The general amount of money that you pay basically just covers the basic. Okay, so there's the basic, and then of course there is the so-called premium and upgraded. Okay, Now, they will only guarantee as much as they can, all right? But similarly, they'll tell you they're not liable, so they're not wrong in that sense, okay? So now, besides recommending that customers have regular backup of important data, okay, what are the next things that you usually see from storage as a service, okay, for third party on those on the cloud? Okay, let me bring you a very, very brief slide, okay? So these are some of the common causes for data loss for those that are on the cloud, okay? Most of it, honestly speaking, I guess we have heard from a lot of clients or end users telling us that their things have been deleted, okay, on purpose, okay, literally on purpose, okay, could it be by disgruntled employees, disgruntled people and stuff like that, or they got hacked and things happen, okay, because there's an audit trail, you can literally see who went in and do whatever thing that was done, all right? So even that happened, okay, there's nothing the Microsoft or Google will help you, because basically that's done by your people, all right, by your staff, all right? So it's quite common in that sense, right? So according to this survey, you can see that quite a very high percentage of people actually suffer deletion, okay? So then what will happen? They could be meticulous, or they could be accidental, okay? Or it could be hacker, all right, or being overwritten, okay? So you can see that how do we prevent this, okay? And the fact that a lot of the surveyed companies, okay, they don't even have a backup solution at all right? They'll just believe and throw everything to the cloud and have nothing else on premise or a physical backup, be it even to do a weekly backup or even to do a monthly backup and stuff like that. They will assume that it's going to be very, very costly. Okay, so in my slides, I will show it down and break it down to you and show you how it can happen. All right. Okay, so even for the data retention, okay, there are limits as provided by Microsoft or Google. Okay, so extracting it out from their public documents, you can say that for content directly provided and created by admins and users, the active deletion scenario is at most 30 days. Okay, for Microsoft it's 30 days. All right, for Google Workspace it's only 25 days. Okay, that's even worse, unless you have additional vault policies in place. Okay, so to keep anything longer or further than 25 days or 30 days, it will cost you additional money, or else it will be deleted. Okay, and subject to their restoration or whatever. Okay, that's very, very hard to say. Okay, 30 days is very, very fast, honestly speaking. Okay, so there will be solutions. There are solutions to it, and there are recommendations also. Okay, so I will talk about it later down the slides. All right, so for today I have a total of 52 slides. Okay, this video will be recorded. Once you have the link, you will still be able to come back and retrieve and look through it. All right. Right, so given all the previous few slides, backup is the only way to take back your data ownership from SaaS providers. Okay, so backing up is very, very important. So based on what we have discussed earlier, okay, there are two major limitations. First, providers do not provide any guarantee and not liable for the data stored in the cloud. Okay. Second, according to the terms of services, you can only restore files that has been deleted within the last 25 days or the last 30 days, depending on which provider you're going with. Okay. So the next thing is implementing a data backup solution to your SaaS, all right, is something that you can control. Okay, something that you can take back the ownership. All right, so this is something that we always tell the end users or the customers. All right, this is something that they have to take care of. It's not a responsibility of the providers. Okay. Right. As usual, what are the things that we face? Okay, it's always about IT budget shortfall. Okay, as they have to balance between, you know, on-prem or cloud and how much more it's going to cost. Okay, today my slides will go through with you how much it actually costs as compared to what they may imagine it to be. All right, I'm talking just about hardware. Okay, services will be extra, is what you make. Okay, hardware itself is not very, very, very costly. Okay, it's definitely much manageable as compared to if they were to subscribe to long-term vaults or archival storage. All right, so that is something to consider. Okay, So over here, you can see that there are various different brands. Okay, we have the pricing for if you were to use it with 200 people account. Okay, so for example, in US dollars, if you were to use a certain brand A on-prem or on cloud, it may cost you 3,500 US dollars. Okay, a year. Okay, we're talking about a year. All right, all the way up to as much as 7,000 dollars US dollars or 9,000 dollars. Okay, so these are all the real numbers. Okay, and there are companies paying such numbers on a yearly basis. Okay, now how else can we help? All right, so let's talk about numbers again. Okay, so if you were to look at the Microsoft built-in data protection, okay, depending on the size of the mailbox, okay, or depending on the size of the archival, all right, and based on 200 persons account, okay, it's very significant number. All right, if those who are regularly selling Microsoft 365, you will know, okay, you have your essentials. All right, of course, for small companies, essentials are definitely more than enough. All right, and also the difference between essential and E1 and E3, okay, it's very substantial. For example, in this case, it's a 200 user company. All right, so it can jump as much as $30,000 to $70,000 per year, US dollars. Okay, so the more users you have, the larger the cost will be. Now, of course, and this cost is accumulated on a yearly basis. Every year you have to pay this. Okay, of course, some companies say accounting wise it's okay, I make enough, I'll write it off. Okay, but over a period of time of 5 years, imagine they'll be paying close to, some of them could be paying close to $250,000. Okay, it could go as high as $250,000. All right, or at least. Okay, so all these are accumulated. If you were to work it out over a period and you show it in a graph, okay, most finance, accounting, or IT departments, once they see it, all right, they will visualize it and they will realize that's how much they are paying. Okay, so there are ways to work around it. Okay, it's definitely not affordable for normal small companies. Okay, and they will want to look for solutions. Okay, so let's move on to that. So what is the solution, or what are the solutions available from Synology? So in Synology, basically you can use the active backup. Okay, so there is the free app. It's completely free. All right, there's no license that you need to pay, no monthly license, no yearly license. The app gets free updates. All right, whenever there's any updates, you just go to the package center as usual, click update, and it will update for you. Okay, the client agent is also completely free. Okay, to create any of the media is also completely free. You can create a backup media on USB. To boot up, you can back up an entire notebook or laptop, on a notebook, a laptop, or PC. Okay, you can basically shift it into the NAS. All right, and basically if anything happens, all right, you just rebuild it on a USB thumb drive, boot up, reconnect back to the NAS. All right, and you can transfer back again. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right, so take note of that. All right, so basically what happens is you got to look at the software and hardware integration. All right, it's all there. Okay, software is already being done by Synology for you. So the hardware basically for companies who already have existing Synology Plus models. Okay, minimally must be Plus models, no J value, no not. Okay, minimally Plus models, XS models, XS Plus models. Okay, you need to have a Plus model in order to run it. Okay, and for goodness sake, as usual, sizing is very important. Okay, I've seen some SI trying to use 220 plus and try and squeeze in 50 users and back up everything. Okay, that's wrong. Okay, so that's the reason why this webinar is very important, to show you how to do the sizing. Okay, you have to make sure you know per user how much space you need. Okay, not that every user is going to have 2 TB and then we're going to squeeze 50 users with 2 TB. Okay, that's going to be very huge. Okay, so there will be certain limitations which I will also tell you and update you. So while you are doing and configuring, just be very careful. All right, now other than that, okay, be very sure to talk about the key stuff. All right, and at the end of the day, it's all about the IT budget. So they show them the dollar sign and they will definitely be able to see it and visualize it. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, so how active backup fits the IT budget? First, like for most, I've always stressed, license free, unlimited account backup. Okay, of course, the limitations on the size of the NAS. Okay, there's no limits in the sense that if you want to do a 800 account, okay, just communicate with us. All right, we will let you know which is the recommended model. Okay, of course you don't go and tell them, oh, I can just put a DS1821 Plus and I'll do 800 accounts. All right, yes, you can put up 16 TVs by 8. In terms of raw space, there is enough. Okay, but in terms of resources, that's another story. Okay, so the next one is Synology allows you to do scalability storage, okay, for the growing demand of the company. All right, so there are certain percentage that we can look at, and you can also double check with the customers as to how much data they have grown every year on year. Okay, and the fact that when it's backing up the information, it's using deduct technology, and basically sometimes I have seen that it is able to squeeze from 39%, sometimes upward to 51%. Okay, so what you see is maybe they have 10 TB, but after the whole entire backup, they may only occupy 6 TB. All right, so that's where the deduct technology comes in to save on the storage cost. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, now the next one is, as usual, to stress again, license-free, unlimited account. Okay, so there is a one-time cost, because basically it's the integration cost. Okay, the integrated solution where you have your hardware and software and your configuring services. Okay, so as you can see from the slide, if you were to work out in terms of a total cost of ownership over a period of 3 years, okay, having the subscription and also having a subscription base and having an on-prem NAS backup, okay, so no matter how you compare, all right, it will eventually work out. If you spread over 3 years or 5 years period, the savings, as you go further up to 5 years, the savings is substantial. Okay, remember, for all Plus models, yes, even though it begins with 3 years hardware warranty, you can purchase EW202 to extend it up to 5 years. Okay, and if customers are still afraid, you can do HA, okay, high availability, in case customers are wary, or you can purchase models with redundant power, RP model, in case customer wants to have on-prem with redundant power with HA, and then they may want to have another location where it's off-site with a backup, okay, which you can also do. All right, I'll have case study to show you how it's being done, all right, and how some customers do it. Okay, now this graph is very, very important, because it will basically work out. You can just ask the customers how much are they paying per year for their subscription-based software. Right, they tell, oh, constantly every year I'm paying $9,000. Okay, but that's only on one. All right, and if anything happens, all right, then they will have another issue. Okay, okay, there's a question. Yes, is it supported or recommended to spread the data backup across several NAS, or to size for one large NAS to backup? All right, so this depends on the customer's appetite. I'll use the word appetite. Okay, of course, on-prem you have one that's large, and then you will have another backup off-prem. Okay, so similarly, like one airline, okay, there's an airline who's using Synology solution. What they do is, in the HQ server data center at HQ, they actually have a whole rack of Synologies doing the actual daily backup, and they have another one that's off-site on another branch, another city, that is duplicating what's happening at the HQ. So in case anything happens to the HQ, it could burn down, flood, or corruption happens, they have another active backup over at another site. So there is a backup solution, 321, which I have on my previous webinar, where you have 321, where you basically back up for a normal, small, medium-sized company and not an airline. You may do 3 versions, okay, 2 different media and 1 offsite. Okay, so these are the usual formulas. Right, these are very basic. Of course, some will go 531, 721, 521, and stuff like that. There'll be 5 times a week, or 7 times a week, every daily, or for the very, very critical one, it could be as hourly as. You may never know. Okay, so it depends on the appetite of the customer. All right, so very, very important. Okay, now in terms of squeezing all into one NAS, that will depend on the size and the appetite of the end user. Okay, be very, very careful about that. So you got to check it out with them. Okay, next, in terms of scalability. All right, so you can see here in this slide, you can see the scalability of storage. Okay, depending on the growing demands. All right, so you have your towers, you have your rack mount. Okay, now RAM is very critical. If you know that you're going to have quite a substantial number of users, please remember to increase your RAM. Okay, RAM doesn't cost a lot, okay, but it does help over a period of time. Okay, and now for the Plus models, those with additional NVMe slots, okay, if possible, also put it in. It will do help. It does help over time. It doesn't help you immediately within 6 weeks or 8 weeks, but you will see it gradually as it happens. Okay, and caching requires time to learn. Okay, for the NAS to use the cache. Okay, it takes time to learn the cache. It's not immediate, but you will definitely see the effect once there's a lot of reading and writing to the NAS after 6 to 8 weeks. All right, a lot of customers see it after 6 to 8 weeks, and they start to realize, oh, it's a very worthy investment. Okay, as compared to NAS that they have installed before without the caching. Okay, so for NAS that has the NVMe slots, minimally, all right, so what's the percentage to add for the caching? All right, according to the white paper that's available on Synology website, it's minimally 9% of your raw space. Okay, it's 9 to 10% of raw space. All right, so you work it out from there. Okay, so let's talk about the scalability. Okay, so now as much as the NAS is providing high flexibility or expansion options, okay, it's also good to have the expansion options for long term. Okay, so the Plus models or the high-end rack mount models, okay, you can expand the storage on the fly. Okay, so what it means is even if the storage space is expanding, the services will not be interrupted. Okay, let me repeat again. If you have your base unit, be it 820 plus or 3621, okay, or 40221, okay, or in this case a SA3400, you are expanding the storage. You can still carry on using the services. All right, the backup tasks will not have any issue. You'll still carry on executing and operate as per normal. Okay, so what happens is you can still expand your volume. All right, there is no limitation. But at the same time, be careful when you're expanding the volume. All right, similarly, if you are going to have a very big volume, please remember the minimum is additional RAM. Okay, RAM is very important. You need to make sure that you have sufficient RAM for big volume. What is big? In my opinion, I will say anything above 50 TB, 80 TB. All right, you definitely need at least 16 GB RAM. Okay, so don't go and put a 1821 plus and then try to expand all the RAM. Okay, just buy the appropriate size rack mount so that you can expand the RAM. Right, so that's very important. Do not try and be stingy on the RAM and then suffer later. Okay, because if you want to add more RAMs in the future, you have to shut down. You must do a lot of steps and a lot of procedure in order just to add one more strip of RAM or two more strips of RAM. Okay, I'll prefer that you do it once and for all, and then customers will be comfortable with the performance of the RAM, performance of the NAS. Okay, with the inclusion of the RAM. Okay, so that's very important. Now, next, so how much can active backup help SME to save? All right, so this is a very quick example. As we can see from the previous slide, we have the various different brands: brand V, brand A, brand N, S, and B and C. All right, all those costs based on per user. Okay, based on per user. Okay, so I wrote it down for you. Based on per user in terms of US dollars. Okay, so everybody is very curious and want to compare prices. Okay, so I've run to search on all these MSRPs. Okay, as mentioned earlier, all the active backup license is free. Okay, you can back up as many as you want depending on the size of your NAS. Okay, you must size the NAS correctly, hardware, then you can do whatever you want with it. All right, basically, see, there's no user monthly cost. Okay, so that's very critical. Right, so you can see that over different brands. Okay, so you can share by using brand V or A. You can switch to Synology, and there you can save quite a fair bit. Be it that even if it's a 50 user, this is a monthly cost. You add up over a period of a year. Okay, it still comes out to a very substantial number of for the end user. Okay, and you can in turn take it as this is your monthly maintenance cost, or you can break it down into quarterly for the customer. Okay. Right, the next one, let's take a look at something that is bigger. Okay, so in terms of a size, okay, so if let's say you have a customer with 500 accounts, okay, and they already have 20 TB of backup, and they would like to back up for 5 years, all right, so you will have to do a rough estimate. Okay, you can estimate that they will need for the next 5 years total space, they will need 50 TB. Okay, and you will want to do on RAID 5. Okay, so you will break it down into 9 hard drives, 8 TB, or you can break it down to 12 TB with fewer numbers. Okay, then what you do is I'll show you a table. Right, so this is in US dollars, MSRP. Okay, so the hardware deployment cost, like I've written down in the screen, okay, you can see here, if you were to go with a Synology RS2821RP, okay, plus hard drives, Synology hard drives. Remember, 2021 models for rack storage, please remember to use Synology drives for 8 TB, 12 TB, and 16 TB, all right, to be on the right path. Okay, you can see here, I've already broken down here for you the different kinds of savings as compared to if you were to buy different brands of storage server. Okay, and the storage server doesn't include any other software. Okay, software will be additional. Okay, and you have to add on the software cost and the license renewal cost, and all those, if you were to add up over a period of 5 years, you can see the total cost of ownership for 5 years really jumps a lot. Okay, because basically you will see, like for example in brand V, okay, you will see that it's one user will cost $1.20 USD a month, a user. If you were to multiply that by 12 months and multiply by the 5 years, okay, the sum is $36,000 just for the subscription license, excluding the hardware and deployment. Okay, this doesn't include the services. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, so you can see the savings. All right, you can see here a very substantial savings. If you were to count it over a period, okay, excluding services and maintenance, okay, we're just talking about just the raw cost. Okay, you can see here the savings can go as much as 80% to 90%. That is really a lot. Okay, right, so how do we save? Okay, how does Synology save with the deduct technology? Okay, so let me show you in terms of graphic. So rather than just talking about it, let me show you. Okay, we know that the backup data will be stored for a very long time, it's archived, all right, and you require a lot of storage space. Okay, so in order to help the organization save on the cost of the data backup, okay, Synology Active Backup basically supports a very powerful deduct technology, okay, where duplicated data on your SaaS service, such as personal team drives, email attachments, okay, Active Backup will detect it and deduct it. Okay, so that's what happens. All right, so what will happen is just like you see on the screen now. Okay, just like the icons. Okay, file A exists in these 3 users. All right, at the same time. Okay, the software's algorithm will filter out the duplicate files during the backup process and achieve maximum savings. All right, so basically what happens is, we know that in all companies you get emails, and then you have to CC here, CC there, and all the file attachments. Okay, one file, maybe 10 people will have the same file, right? Do you want to duplicate all 10 at the same time? Okay, so what happens is Synology's Active Backup, okay, they will identify all this and they will know, and they'll just save 1 copy only. All right, so that's the beauty of it, and that's the reason why earlier I was telling you that sometimes some customers or some organizations with 10 TB of backup, but after this deduct it becomes only 5.5, 6, because it depends on how much of all this repetition happens. Okay, if it's a lot, then you can even save even more, but if it's very minimal, okay, then you will see that it is not, the amount of squeezing is less. Okay, So this is how and what happens. All right, I'm sure some of you are very curious. Actually, what happens, right? So that's why in this video, in this recording, I'm just going to tell you that, okay, active backup, okay, will basically find such duplicated data, okay, and make sure that it doesn't replicate again in the storage. That's how it's able to save the space. Now you understand already? Okay, so this is not a magic potion, or it's not a secret sauce. All right, so this is basically technology at work. Okay, so if you have any questions about this technology, just feel free to write out in the chat. Okay, just by all means, don't worry. We have quite a number of people right now. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to share. We are here to share, don't worry. There isn't much of a secret. I've already basically told you guys what's happening and how it works. Okay, so now this is a very, very quick case study. Okay, so this is a neighborhood active action council in Hong Kong. All right, so all the while they have been using Microsoft 365. All right, and as usual, being a public organization, they have limited budget and they only have the basic, which is only up to 30 days. Okay, and there have been cases where emails has been deleted, and due to limitation of 30 days, it can't be retrieved. Okay, and indirectly it has impacted the organization and forced them to look for a suitable backup solution. Okay, at first they were thinking of buying the Microsoft 365 E5. Okay, so for them their annual cost, okay, works out to be more than 120,000 US dollars. Okay, so fortunately a reseller went to see them and explain to them and show them, okay, how the Synology solution works. Okay, there isn't any yearly subscription. All right, they just have to deploy a NAS that's large enough to hold their people. All right, their people is 800 accounts. Okay, so let's see what NAS they use. Okay, end up they chose a RS18017XS Plus. Okay, they didn't really install up to 180 drives. Okay, end of the day they did about, let me see, quite a fair amount of terabytes. Okay, I'm not going to say. Okay, but let's see here. They actually save 67%. All right, they have managed to save up to 67% of the storage based on the deduct. Okay, so for them, in their case, the benefit was no license renewal, no subscription fee. Of course, the reseller still has his maintenance contract to look after them. Okay, by helping them, first of all, save them from Microsoft 365 E5, okay, and having an on-prem backup. Of course, the next step will be to help them do a off-site backup. Okay, then that's where you get additional recurring business, right, in that sense. All right, so in terms of efficiency, you can see that the reseller has helped them do a solution where they can do up to 800 and every day. Of course, the initial portion of backup was very, very painful. All right, be careful about that. All right, so the very, very initial backup is very, very painful. It takes quite a number of weeks to do it. But after that's done, okay, you can see here on a daily basis for them to back up 800 accounts, or I would say about 500 GB on a daily basis, it only took them about 20 to 25 minutes, because on a daily recurrence, there isn't that much data going on. Some people only add on 5 GB, 3 GB, stuff like that. Okay, just the daily work stuff, the admin stuff, and some admin emails, and that's all. All right, so you just space them out and work them in and make sure that every day they do the backup and let it run. Okay, you work out to about 20-25 minutes, and that's it. Okay, and everybody's happy. Okay, the council saves money, the reseller makes money. Okay, and end of the day, the solution is there for them. Okay, so the challenge was to prevent data loss. Okay, to make sure that the work progress carry on, and they can't be paying $100,000 yearly. Okay, so the benefits were no renewal fee, no subscription fee. They managed to save the additional storage costs because of the duplication and also the backing up. Okay, so on a daily basis, they back up about 20-25 minutes. Okay, and if they need to recover, all right, depending on what they need to recover, it takes seconds, because basically you need to know what you want. You want to retrieve back an email, or you want to search for something that you deleted. Okay, you can just go in self-service portal. All right, with the given authority, they can just go and retrieve back the email. Okay, it's as simple as that. Retrieval, there's no additional cost. You just do it on your own. Okay, everything is graphic user interface with the very nice simple user interface from Synology. Okay, so first and foremost, the business backup solution for SMEs. Okay, there's comprehensive backups to the storage as a service. Okay, so there are solutions. All right, the deployment is streamlined. Okay, and as usual, last but not least, is the self-service recovery. Okay, they do not need to engage anybody to help them retrieve, because sometimes they may say, I don't want a third party to see what I'm retrieving. Okay, so long as they are given the right authority, the administrator must be there to log in for them if they are not authorized. Okay, if they are authorized, maybe they are supervisor level or manager levels, they are authorized and given authority by their bosses, they can do their own recovery. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right. Right, so in terms of backing up, let's compare for Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. These are the things that you can back up. All right, so in terms of Microsoft 365, you can back up your OneDrive for business. You can back up your SharePoints. Okay, so all your collections, everything will be backed up. Your Exchange Online, which is your mailbox. Okay, folders, attachment, contacts, calendars. All right, and of course the latest will be the Microsoft Teams. Okay, those are the things that you can record down. Not record down, you can back up. Okay, we also know that you can record Teams if you want. So there's files and attachments and everything that you can record. Okay, so you can see the list is very comprehensive for Microsoft 365. Okay, now for the Google Workspace, all right, you can see that you can back up the Google My Drive, Google Gmails, contacts, and calendars. Okay, you can't record Google conferencing. Okay, that's not possible. No Google Talk also. So this is not. These are some of the major differences. So you can see here, right? So in case customers ask, you can go through this with them. This list is also available on Synology website. You can get it from the web page for the active backup. It will show you what are the things that you can back up. Okay. If you have questions about this, also please feel free to reach out. Okay, we'll be more than happy to answer questions on this. Now, in terms of deployment, okay, how easy is it? I'm sure there's questions. Is it something that that's really that simple? Everybody's concerned about it. Okay, we all have been using Synology, selling Synology. We know the user experience of Synology and with the interface, how easy it is. Okay, and most of us are very comfortable with it. Okay, for lack of a better word, okay, it gives us a very Apple feel to it. All right, it gives us the Apple feeling that it feels good, it looks clean and nice. Okay, so first and foremost, for everyone who has used Synology, you know that any packages that you need, you can just go and get it from the package center. It's free unless otherwise there will be a cost that's written there. Okay, now to activate it is very simple. You just install it. You need internet access. Okay, you need to sign into your Synology account to use it. But there's no other activation beyond that. Okay, basically it takes maybe 3 to 4 steps and that's it. Okay, now in terms of installation, okay, I'm just going to show you step by step how fast it is. Okay, so first and foremost, you will select your endpoint. Okay, if your Office 365 be in the common servers or in Germany, or is it operated by someone else? Okay, for us in Singapore, it will normally be the first one, which is Office 365. If you have some European customers, some of them will have it on Office 365 Germany. So be sure to double check with them if your customers are NMC. All right. So after you have done, you can click and select your folder destination. Okay, you can select your folder destination once you know, and also at the same time what you want to discover. Okay, what are the things and options that you want to select. Okay, after verification, the IT can determine what are the tasks that you want to back up. Okay, like I've spoken earlier. Now with these simple steps, next is basically you just click. Okay, and you will see that basically what kind of backup do you want. Okay, set up your backup policies, your retention policies. All right, for those that is critical, like maybe finance, accounting, you may want to do continuous backup. Okay, for those that is not so critical, like marketing or sales warehouse and stuff like that, maybe you want to do a scheduled backup. Okay, for those that is really non-critical, you can do a manual backup. All right, so this is up to you. So there's three things that Synology supports, which is basically continuous, scheduled, okay, or manual, okay, and then you can basically just keep the versions. Okay, you can preserve all versions, or you can keep the based on the number of days. Okay, so these are the things that you have to take care of. All right. Right. Next one is self-service recovery. Okay, so I've spoke about it earlier. Okay, so let's see how simple and how easy it is. I'll show you in 3 clicks. Okay, employees, if given the authority, okay, they can do their own self-service recovery, and or else admins will have to be beside them, or admins have to authorize them. Okay, and there is even a search bar, for a search tool for you to speed up to find the right data depending on where you want to go. Okay, so any users that are authorized by IT can just click on the backup item to be restored by themselves. Okay, very important. They must be authorized, because or else then you're going to have a lot of mess. Okay, so the first thing is you click on the self-service recovery. All right, and what you're going to do is you're going to see your mail. All right, in this case, you can see you need to retrieve or restore a single email, be it from Microsoft 365 or Gmail. Okay, so first and foremost, you click the app and then you just click on the email. All right, or you can search for the email. Okay, you can search based on keywords. All right, even attachments such as Word files, Excel files, PDF, PowerPoint can be searched. Okay, and then after you find the content that you want, you can export it as EML for offline access. Okay, it's as simple as that. See, so once that's done, they can just basically export it out. Okay, it's not that difficult. You see, I've shown you in 3 clicks how it can be done. All right, and then you will just be done with it. Okay, now the next one is in terms of the recovery, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, I can't stress enough on this. Employees and admins can restore it if employees are given the right. Okay, it supports content search to speed up the time to find the right data in the shortest time. Okay, then of course the next one we'll cover is on the multi-point backup. Okay, so as usual, how do we do backup, how it happens and what happens. Okay, so we're going to go into there. All right, but before I do that, as usual, remember the software are free on the NAS. Okay, you don't have to pay any license or subscription. Okay, I believe at the end of this session, everybody knows, okay, it's definitely license free, subscription free. All right, do the right sizing for the NAS. Okay, and make sure the size is right, and buy the right NAS. Okay, and that's it. Okay, right. So how does Synology ensure multi-point backup? Okay, let me explain. As you can see, after the installation of the Active Backup, okay, for either Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, okay, the backup task is immediately set up to store the data. Okay, right. So once you have it on your primary NAS, okay, so if you only have it on one large NAS on one site, okay, on one site, all right, then what happens is you can use snapshot replication on your offsite. Okay, at your offsite. All right, then you run. Okay, then you basically use up. Okay, and we run the Active Backup. The size must be the same. Okay, the NAS must be able to also run Active Backup for SaaS, to run the Active Backup package. Okay, don't be buying a Plus model on one end, decent size, but then reduce and squeeze down to a smaller size. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that you may buy a RS3621 RP access on your main site, and then you decided that, oh, for my offsite I just want to store and do a snapshot, I may buy a RS1221 RP plus. Okay, and keep it at bare minimum just to store the data. Yes, storing the data is one thing, but you can't be running 500 accounts on a RS1221 RP Plus. Okay, that will have issues because the CPU is just totally different class. Okay, if you want to make sure that you have a multi-point backup and working at the same time, both NASes must be the same size. Okay, when you're sizing it, both must be the same configuration. All right, so that then you can run both at the same time. Okay, so even if the original NAS breaks down, okay, the same NAS, all right, it will automatically fail over to the other unit. Okay, then use the active backup package to start to relink all the backup tasks. Okay, these will prevent the backup tasks from being interrupted. Okay, so here is a bank. All right, so for this bank, they are over in Poland. Okay, it's quite a decent size. It has 2,500 accounts, and basically they are using active backup to help them with the operations. And basically the admin backups all 2,500 accounts for Microsoft 365. Before that, it was always been manually done and very time consuming, and backups are all over the place. Okay, and resulting in data loss and downtime. Okay, so they explored using Synology solution, and they like it, and especially with the fact that there's auto account discovery. Okay, they were able to make it easier without adding new users and also less configuration. Okay, so in this scenario, like I mentioned earlier, a bank in Poland, all right, the client basically services deposits and loans for small and medium businesses, and basically they have 26 branches across Warsaw and around Warsaw, right? Due to the bank compliance, they need to store and make sure they cover all the data backup for their Microsoft 365 and also their endpoint workstations. So this includes all their PCs. Okay, let me share with you, they need to back up a total of 2,500 emails, 1,500 endpoints. Okay, so that's all their PCs that they need to back up. Okay, the fact that they need to do all this is a very, very huge task. Okay, so basically what happens is they have deployed quite a number of units. All right, you can see here they have used across the board RS 180 17 XS Plus and the 3617 XS Plus. Okay, and they have also created snapshot replication. Okay, so they have 2 data centers to do all their backup and to make sure that they are replicated. Okay, so you can see here that this is what they do. Okay, and they have additional layer of redundancy. Okay, unless both their DC, which is DC1 and DC2, both burn down. Okay, then that will be a different story again. Okay, so this is a very real situation, and they are still using it till today. Okay, no changes. Okay, so this is what's happening. Right, okay, so in a short summary, okay, in terms of software support, taking Microsoft as the example, okay, you can back up things such as 365 emails, OneDrive, calendar, address books, SharePoint, and Teams. All right, Synology Active Backup gives you an interface where you can manage all your backup tasks in one glance. All right, and deployment is as usual very easy and intuitive, and you just need to take 3 steps. Okay, like I mentioned earlier. All right, to create your task. Okay, and in terms of management and deployment, you have a recovery user interface where even ordinary users authorized, okay, can log in and restore the files by themselves. All right, IT not necessarily have to be there. Okay, be even on the branches side. Okay, so content search can be easily used to search for files. Okay, last but not least, multi-point backup is there to ensure that backup tasks are not interrupted. Okay, especially on a deduct. Okay, you can explain to the customers, if I have 10 TB, why is the NAS not storing all 10 TB? You can tell them that the NAS software is intelligent, that it will recognize duplicated files and not duplicate again, not to create multiple duplicates. Okay, that's how you're able to save space. Okay, but of course, off the top, we don't know how much duplication happens, but around there is usually at least 30%. Okay, from what we see. Okay, some go as high as 60%, but don't tell customers 60% because you don't really know how much duplication happens in their office. Okay, so the next one would be, so how do you deploy the IT infrastructure? Okay, you can go from terabytes all the way up to petabytes. Okay, and there are petabyte deployments in Singapore using Synology. It does happen. Okay, so basically, the Synology Active Backup helps a lot of small and medium businesses, okay, to protect themselves with Microsoft 365 and also Google Workspace. All right. So now let's take a look at how to plan a deployment. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit technical. All right. So just listen up first. Okay, and we'll do the sizing. Okay, we'll work out the sizing. Okay, I'll try to slow down my speech so that you can catch up. Okay, so now let's go into the sizing. Now let's take 3 steps. First, you have to understand your customers' storage demand. Okay, analyze how much storage demand they need. Okay, from their usage. Okay, look at their current usage on Microsoft 365 and Google. All right. Then the next one is to estimate how much storage space is needed on the NAS itself, and also at the same time calculate the cost and find a suitable NAS and matching hard drive to suit their IT budget. Okay, so let me say again, analyze their storage demand, okay, based on their usage online. Okay, estimate how much storage space they need. So you got to ask them, if you're going to use this for 3 years, 5 years, all right, and on an annual basis, how much are you growing? 20%, 30%, all right? Then you just expand from there and then work it out from them based on their budget. Okay, so first, how do we analyze the storage demand? Okay, let me show you a slide for this. Okay, first you have to analyze based on their daily email activities. Okay, you can just ask them to log into their admin center in Microsoft 365. The admin will be able to go in and see based on their current mailbox, okay, how much is being sent, how much is being received. Okay, then you can look at the mailbox size. I'll show you in the next slide, and the days of retention. Okay, so the average number of daily email activities, the current mailbox size, and how many days of retention. Okay, in the Microsoft 365, you can go to admin center, go to report, and click on usage. Okay, for email activities, you just have to click on view more. Okay, then you can see how much mail space is being used. Let me show it to you. All right, so over here you can see here the average number of daily email activities. All right, you can analyze based on that. And next, you look at the current mailbox size. Okay, you will see here that for this particular customer, the mailbox size is 142 megabytes. All right, depending on the number of users. Then from here, you look at the days of retention. How many days they want to retain it for. Okay, minimally, of course, is 30 days. Some customers may say, I want 365 days. Okay, then that will increase the number of size. Okay, so once that's done, second will be to estimate. Okay, how do you estimate the requirements? Okay, so let's work on a hypothetical one. Okay, so over here, we have an example of 200 accounts, 50 GB per user space, around 60% is occupied. Okay, they want to keep the emails for 10 years. Okay, so how much space is required to keep email data for 10 years time? Okay, I'll give you the formula. All right, if you need it for lesser years, just reduce the number of years. Okay, so the formula here is basically we need these 3 information: current mailbox size, average number of emails, and days of retention. Okay, once we have that information, we plug it in the formula. So assuming that the current mailbox size is 6 terabytes, okay, so that means it's 200 accounts, per account is 30 GB, okay. The average number of emails is 3,000, so that works out to be about 15 emails per person, all right. And the days of retention, 10 years, will be 3,650 days, correct? Because 1 year is 365 days, okay. So if you need to lesser, then just reduce it, okay, depending on the number of years, okay. Right, so the calculation will be this. Okay, so the formula is the current mailbox size, parentheses, plus the average number of emails and days of retention, multiplied by the average mail size, and buffer 10%. Okay, in this case we buffer 10%. Okay, that's for the increment. Okay, let me work it out and show it to you. All right, so we know that there's 6 TB, okay, 3000 emails, 10 years period, and the number of size. Okay, so if the average email size, and then multiply by 10% buffer. So for this particular company, for 200 accounts, they will need 12 TB to store emails for 10 years. Okay, so this is basically the formula. All right, let me look at the chat box. Anything? Okay, so this is the formula to use to calculate the storage requirement if you are on Microsoft 365. Okay, so very quickly, it's not very complicated math. All right, you just make sure you plug in the right numbers, you can get it there. All right, if anybody have any issues or questions, just feel free to reach out to me, and we can work it out. All right. All right. So do note, email storage takes up 80%. Okay, this is archival storage for email only. Okay, it doesn't include all the other stuff. Okay, so as a rule of thumb, email accounts usually occupy 80% of total usable storage space. You have to include the OneDrive, SharePoint, and stuff like that. We will usually divide it by 0.8 to include everything. Okay, so then we will actually get up to 15 TB if you were to add things like SharePoint, OneDrive, and things that needs to be added. Okay, so you will be able to cover the whole entire Microsoft 365 usage. Okay, so this is based on emails only. So if you need to add, the rule of thumb is to divide by 0.8. Okay, the division for 0.8 is because to add the OneDrives and SharePoint space. Okay, so in this case for 200 users, 50 GB, 10 years, including everything, you should be around 15 terabytes of usable space. Okay, not raw space. Okay, raw will depend on the RAID type that the customer used to go with, either RAID 5 or RAID 6. Some may go RAID 5 plus 1 or RAID 6 plus 1. Okay. Right, so the next one will be to select a NAS. We have already estimated the storage space. So now the next thing is we want to select a suitable NAS. Okay, so how do we go about selecting a suitable NAS? All right, so these are the categories of NAS that you can use for your backing up of Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. All right, so in this case it's 15 TB. All right, so we know that we need to look for a NAS that can store minimally 15 TB, but the next thing that we need to consider would be the users. Okay, you need to have a NAS that can correspond and work with 200 users. Okay, and of course looking at the number of drives. Okay, you need to be able to achieve 15 TB of usable space. Okay, at the same time, you want to also, because it's 200 users, to also add some SSD for caching. All right, to have a better backup performance. All right, so in this case we will go with the RS model if they need a rack mount. Okay, if they don't want to go rack mount, they can, for desktop they will go minimally with a 1821 plus, okay, or a 1621 plus. Okay, so I will usually go with 1221 RP plus. All right, so there's redundant power in that sense. Okay, so based on our tests, okay, so far these are all data available online. Okay, you can get it from Synology website. Okay, once you install a NAS with dual SSDs, okay, the reason for dual SSDs caching is one's for read, one's for write. Okay, you can see that the speed, all right, with or without, there is a lot of difference. Okay, after a period of time. Okay, it will help you optimize your backup time and reduce. All right, so basically it's to help you have a better backup efficiency. All right, and to reduce the number of minutes that it takes to backup. Okay, it's a very good investment. Okay, so over here you can see that the improvement is very great. Okay, it's or close to 50%. Okay, now to basically do a quick summary. Okay, active backup for storage as a service. Okay, license-free solution to fit your IT budget. You can size it up. Comprehensive backup solution for your services. Very, very advanced business level functionality, and basically it optimizes your business continuity. Okay, so it basically helps you, all right, to be able to continue doing your business in case anything happens. All right. For backing up of data, there are no charge by Synology or the hard drive itself. Okay, once you have done all the configuration, everything is automated. All right, so it's very, very simple, very, very easy to deploy. Okay, and for users to do a recovery is also very, very fast. Okay, and also at the same time, if you need to have multi-point, it's also available. Okay, you can have a very, very comprehensive disaster recovery deployment. Okay, you can just buy duplicates, put it offsite, and let it run. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, so you can point it back up. Okay, so far any questions? Anyone? Okay, we have been running for more than an hour. Okay, so beyond just talking about the software continuity or the backing up of storage, okay, the next thing that we want to cover is on the Synology NAS continuity. Okay, so basically what happens is, we all know that Synology right now has this business continuity service where if you need loaner policies, okay, it's available. All right, loaner policies are available for NAS or hard drives, okay, only for Synology devices, and there are support plans that go together with your hardware. Okay, so for example, if your NAS is 3 years, okay, you can purchase 3 years service plan. If your NAS has 5 years, you can purchase up to 5 years service plan. All right, you can reach out to the service provider. They can send you all the details that you need. Okay, if you have any inquiries or any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. Okay, they do all the loaner services or swapping of services. Okay, you can double check with them on this service, and their website is there for you to visit. Okay, if you have any questions on this, please reach out to them. Okay, so don't worry in the case where you think that, oh, if the NAS is down, then I have to send back the whole NAS and there isn't any replacement or loaner. Okay, there is such services available in Singapore, so don't be distracted by that. Okay, so even if you have a disaster recovery and if you need a loaner, depending on your budget, okay, you can work it out from there. Okay, so this service is there for you. Right, very quickly, just to conclude, right, sorry, any other questions for today's session? I'll be more than willing to answer if you have any. I'll be here for a while to answer any questions, or else I would say thank you very much for your time today. I believe, or I hope that I have passed on some very useful information to all you guys to know how to sell better, and also to communicate with your end customers. I know I can't be there for every one of you, but as usual, if you need any help or assistance, just feel free to reach out. We will try our best to assist. Okay, distributors are there for you also. Do reach out to them also. If they have any questions, they will also approach me and check back with me also. Okay, so meanwhile, if you have any questions, please feel free to hang around. I will definitely answer them for you. Or else, thank you very much for your time today. I hope it has been very fruitful. It has been fruitful for me, both for me and you. Okay, thank you. Okay, I hope it's been very, very helpful. Okay, you can see that this is just one of the software that's available on the Synology NAS. Okay, the Synology NAS has a lot more things that you can do, but today's session is mainly on the corporate resellers, business resellers. Okay, so you know how to explain to customers. All right, you're ambassadors for Synology. You're representing them and selling for them. Okay, to approach the customers, to tell them, look, you're not at the end of the road. Okay, even though you have subscribed to Microsoft 365, even though you have Google Workspace, all right, there is solution beyond them, because you know they restrict you by 25 days or 30 days. Okay, depending on the terms of services. Okay, so that is some constraint for some customers. You just tell them, do not despair. Okay, Synology has a solution for you that is license free and subscription free. Okay, hardware warranty is all there. Okay, you as the SI or installers are responsible for them to do the configuration, size it up for them correctly. Okay. All right, for security wise, there are a couple of ways of doing it. There is the 2FA, two-factor authentication, so you can use Google authentication. All right, so that's one thing. That is very, very critical in a sense. Okay, so the 2FA is definitely there. If you are holding on to the Google Authenticator, you can't basically go in any further. Okay, the administrator for the Microsoft 365, okay, it has to be the main administrator for Microsoft 365 in order to start doing the backup. It's not based on the user. Okay, I'm also on Microsoft 365. So the administrator has to log in to the Microsoft 365 administration page. Only then it will start and trigger the backup. Okay, that's what happens. It's very, very simple. It's not that any user will just be able to just do it. No, it can't. I can't be, okay, yes, I have a corporate account. Now I have a Synology at home. Can I just go use my Synology to do ABB? No, you can't. Only the administrator can. So that's the reason why earlier I was stressing a lot on authority. You must be authorized, even to do the self-service portal recovery. They must be authorized by the administrator in order to even do their own self-service recovery. Okay, so the administrator holds the key to everything. All right, so be very careful about this. Okay, the administrator for the Microsoft 365 and Google holds the key to everything. All right, so be careful about that. Thank you. Thank you, Mika. All right, so these are the things to take care of. Any other questions? For those who have your own Synology NAS, you can run your own lab, try it out, especially if you have a Microsoft 365. You can also try and work it out and see what happens. Okay, these are just part of the things that are coming. For those who are staying around, will there be any new NASs coming out this year? Hopefully there will be. Okay, the router, hopefully we will try to get it out as soon as possible. Similarly, the Synology router should be coming soon. Okay, it is definitely coming, it's definitely launching, don't worry. It is a finished product for the Synology router. Okay, it is definitely a finished product. All right, it's no longer something that's on the drawing board. Okay, it is a complete and finished product for the Synology router. Okay, and it's 11AX. Okay, and will there be any more new NAS? Look at my facial expression. I can't say too much. Okay, but see, okay. So look forward to the next session that we may have. Distributors will definitely send out the EDMs. All right, we'll definitely have a lot more topics to share. Hopefully, I'll try and do a shorter session next round to share on the updates on products. Okay, software-wise, so far DSM 7.1 has been quite stable. So far okay. Don't break any of the rules for the hard drives or the RAM memory. What I mean by breaking the rules is try not to use unverified drives. Okay, there is still quite a number of people who don't understand compatible list. Okay, there's a reason for having this list. Okay, the reason is because the drives or the hardware must be verified by the vendor. Okay, so that then the vendor will be able to support in case if anything goes wrong. Okay, when the vendor says that it's unverified, means if anything happens or anything goes wrong, they can't help you because they never even test the thing. Correct? So that's the thing about support. We are also doing support. We also want to support something that we know. If customer just buy something from somewhere and install it into something that you have installed, and you say, I don't even know what is it, how do I support you? Correct? So similarly, be very careful about this. Right? Let me look at the chat box. Okay, Mr. Kun, yes. Okay, have I seen customers doing both file server and backup? Yes. Okay, so some of them, what they do is the active backup is running during off-peak hours, all right, and the file server is using on 9 to 5, example. Yes, it's possible. In my case, I will play it safe. I will definitely increase the RAM memory. You never know, one day the customer may, say that, I want both to be running simultaneously. Then there'll be an option. So caveat, okay, beware. Just make sure to tell the customers, be very, very sure that they are running the backup only during off-peak hours, or running very, very limited, because we don't know the network, okay? We really don't know the network. Okay, be very, very careful, because I'm very into network, okay? So I'm very concerned about network, okay? You may be running all 1G and they expect, 40, 50 PCs to back up on a 1G, then that's a story, okay? Now, for active backup, caveat, all right? You can only run 10 tasks at any one time, okay? 10 backups at any one time. So you schedule them 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, okay? Now, remember, as we mentioned earlier, the deduct technology, there is no duplication, okay? The software is clever enough to know that they won't duplicate stuff, okay? Run 10 at each time. Don't try and force to say, I want to squeeze all into one, okay? You'll congest the whole entire network, okay? Like I mentioned, everything has a limitation. So that's the reason why we are here. We have to understand the limitation. Where is it explained to the customers? Okay, unless customer says, oh no, don't worry, my network is 25G. No, your endpoints are not 25G. Your backbones is 25G. Okay, so these are small little things that we have to take care of. All right, and at the same time, we got to make sure the router is able to handle all this routing. Okay, have I seen offices with a Soho router or small office or home router and basically running for 10 people? Yes, there are such situations. They just have to know their limitations. Okay, there are still a lot of companies out there running without firewalls or without a UTM. Okay, so these are all opportunities. So when the router is officially launched in Singapore, I will go through with you guys what the router can do. It's recommended for home and small businesses. All right, it's very, very powerful. Okay, there are quite a number of features and functionalities that you can use, and as usual, it's also subscription free and license free. All the signatures will also be free for downloads. Okay, and you can also remotely access the router to help customers configure it as long as they have internet access. It's as simple as that. All right, so it's very, very good sharing session, and also very, very good questions, very, very valid questions. Thank you very much for asking. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'm going to call it a day for today. Okay, remember to like the video if it has been helpful, and also sharing. If you need to see any other recordings, they are all in my channel. I've done quite a fair bit of videos. I think so far I have close to over 60 videos. All right, and do remember to join our Facebook group. There are contents on a monthly basis where I update it, and also questions can be asked. But if it's private and you don't want but the general public to know, I'm always there. Okay, so you can also reach out to me over there. Okay, as usual, do remember stocks constraint. No choice, just take care of that. Other than that, I think we have a very, very fruitful 1.5 hours. Thank you very much for spending 90 minutes of your time with me. Other than that, I will say thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.